Hello and welcome to episode 21 of Gameday Gameplay. I'm your host Sean Colangelo, and Todd, the man I envy the most in the wintertime, from Florida. Bro, we're finally legal. Episode 21. We
There
can
you go.
drink. We can drink on the air now.
Good. I have been since episode like 6, but whatever.
Well, considering we're Pens fans, we might need to do that, but we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
So how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. Car shopping today. Already talked to you about that.
Car shopping, yeah, I had to do that back in October when I totaled my car. I decided to turn into oncoming traffic. It's always a good
That's
idea.
probably a bad idea.
Yeah, it didn't end well, but I'm still here,
Yeah.
so you know.
No way.
Um, yeah, it's not a cheap replacement by any means, but
No.
you gotta do what you gotta do. So, um, well, we are past the second rounds of the NBA and NHL playoffs.
Guess we are.
So that will be obviously the majority of the topic. I don't know if you had any other news or anything you wanted
Really
to.
don't. Everything else has been kind of quiet around the league. The other leagues. Not really much going on in the NFL newsworthy. Um, yeah, I mean, there's really not much that's worth covering. And then, MLB, it's still fairly early in the season. Everything's going on there. It's just kind of ramping up. So really, not a lot going on outside the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I can tell you, since I'm here in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
Andrew McCutcheon did make his return last night. Um,
Yeah, I saw that. The Giants have been
so
struggling, haven't they?
Yeah, they have been struggling, and I believe he hasn't had a particularly great start to the season. Although I think
Hmm.
lately he's been he's been hitting a little more than he was to start with. But yeah, as you can imagine, he received a really big ovation and all that jazz. That
Yeah.
was I imagine that was easily most the largest crowd they've had this year so far. Um,
Probably. Pirates have
so
had a decent year though, haven't they?
yeah, they're doing more effectively than I think anybody would have guessed. Kind of like the Capitals.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, they're like they're a handful of games over 500, so we'll see if they can sustain it. But
Yeah, it's
considering
obviously early.
well, considering they lost Kutch and and they lost Cole and some other guys, I didn't think they would be where they are now. But obviously, it's so early. We'll just have to see if they maintain it. But you know,
Hmm.
um,
Speaking of Pittsburgh sports, though, since you brought it up, what's this whole deal going on with Big Ben and that Mason Rudolph kid that they drafted?
um,
Have you heard anything about that?
yeah, you know what it really is, man. It's pretty much the sports media around here being really bored, especially now that the Pens are out of the
Yeah.
playoffs. Roethlisberger has kind of a very dry sense of humor,
Hmm.
and he does often kind of play around with the media, and I don't think a lot of people really get it. Um, I don't think it's like a situation like what we saw with Tom Brady, to where he actually did force out what's his name?
Garoppolo.
Yeah, I mean that really happened to where he did kind of like ensure that that guy was traded because he was afraid of his job being taken. Whereas Roethlisberger was kind of kidding around and made some comments
Yeah.
that I think were taken out of context and like. So no, I don't think there's a whole lot to that. I don't think Roethlisberger actually thinks his job is in jeopardy. And quite frankly, if
It's
it
not.
is, they're pretty stupid. um,
It's not right now. I mean, now come 2, 3 years down the line, yeah, you want to have somebody there.
Sure, because he's no spring chicken. I mean, he's like 35 now, isn't he? So I mean,
He's up there.
yeah, you can get a few good years left, but he's definitely at the tail end of his career. So, um, no, that was Ben kind of just feeding some chum, out to the media, and they took the bait. So,
Yeah, I hear you.
whatever, yeah. Um,
Gotcha.
so I
Alright.
figured we'll do hockey second because that's
That's our
our
baby.
yeah. So let's talk about the NBA.
Let's do it. So, second round, like you said, is now officially over. Third round hasn't started yet. I thought it would have, but they're not playing the first game until tomorrow in the third round. So,
Well,
luckily,
yeah.
we're getting this one out before they even get anything going there. But you want to start in the East, or you want to start in the West?
It doesn't matter. I figured we would see how we did with our picks. Um,
Gotcha. Well, let's start out in the West. Start with Houston versus Utah. Houston took that series in 5 games, 4-1. Um, Now I wrote down that we picked Houston. I don't remember what, how many games we picked though. I don't think I wrote that down, unfortunately.
nah, that's okay though. I mean, I don't think we had it going quite that quick, but we ultimately.
I think if I remember, I picked Houston in 6 instead of 7. But but yeah, it was honestly. Spoiler alert for the next couple minutes here. None of these series went past 5 games, so they were all
Yeah,
kind of
that's
quickly done. But
the yeah, which is crazy. But
mm-hmm.
well, I mean, I guess for the NBA, it's not really that crazy.
Yeah,
But
but
you know,
But yeah, Houston handled Utah. They handled them pretty favorably. They really weren't ever in any danger in that series. I think they even lost game one maybe, and they came back and won 4 in a row. I'd have to check the actual series breakdown
I think you're right
for that for
actually.
sure.
Yeah.
But now over in the other side of the West, Golden State beat New Orleans 4-1 as well. Um, Golden State's looking tough to stop, dude. Um, we could be looking at another repeat championship for them because they just got a deep roster.
Yeah, we'll get there, but that's probably my pick.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but but yeah, they handled the Pelicans. I had this one going to 7 because of how well the Pelicans played in the first series, but
yeah,
there's a
they just
big
couldn't
difference
win.
between playing Portland and playing Golden State. So
Yeah,
you know,
huge
uh,
difference.
but popping over to the East, you and I both picked Toronto to beat Cleveland. We were dead wrong. Cleveland swept them 4-0.
That's nuts, man. LeBron just unreal. I mean, he
Yeah,
really is a one man show too.
it
So
100%. Yeah. Now I guess this is kind of Toronto's mo. They're kind of like the Washington Capitals until this year of the NBA, and that they'll make the playoffs. They'll usually do good in the regular season, and then they'll get to like the first, second round of the playoffs, and then just crap out.
yeah,
So that's what our friend Flu was telling me. He's our resident NBA follower in terms of the guy that pays the most attention to that league. But he said he wasn't really surprised that Cleveland beat them because that's just kind of what Toronto does, is they choke in the playoffs. So
yeah,
um, now on the other side, my boys, Boston, the Celtics, put up a 4-1 series win over Philly that I was not expecting at all, to be honest with you. Philly was playing damn good ball, and Boston just shut them down, man. Boston is playing real good defense right now, real good team defense.
yeah. I definitely thought, especially without Kyrie, that would be closer,
Uh
at
huh.
least. It still wouldn't have shocked me if they had won the series, but not quite that quickly. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you, but that sets up what we've got with the West right now. We've got the Rockets taking on the Warriors in the Western Final, and in the East we have the Cavaliers versus the Celtics again. So
yeah. Well, man, I think the West. That's gonna be a great series. That's gonna
should be,
be.
yeah.
Um, but and
That's the two deepest teams in basketball right now playing
yeah.
against each other. So
I know the Rockets have had a bit of a coming out party this season. Um, I don't know, man. I just think the Warriors might just be a little. I mean, each team is deep. I just think the Warriors are probably deeper.
they are 100%.
Um, I would probably have to go with Warriors in. I guess I'll. I do think it's going to be a long series. I'll say Warriors in seven.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Warriors in 6 in this one. Um, like I said, the Houston's a good team, and if Houston was over in the East, I think they'd be playing all the way through. But they unfortunately have to go up against Golden State, and Golden State just has the deepest roster in the league. I mean, there's just nothing you could do to match up against 4 All-Stars. It's tough, and it's really not like I said, just nothing you can do about it. So
Right.
um, I think Houston will steal a game at least. I think they'll steal 2 games, but I think the Warriors will put it away and put it away in a way that they don't really ever look like they're going to be in danger of losing the series.
Yeah. Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. Now here's the one that I like a little bit better in terms of interesting matchups: Cleveland versus Boston.
Well,
You got LeBron carrying the Cavaliers versus Boston playing just solid team ball, man. That's
yeah.
all it is.
Yeah, honestly, Boston has been kind of the Washington Capitals of the NBA.
Hmm.
They have some key guys missing, and they just keep finding a way to win. Um, this would be awesome if they did currently have Kyrie, because that would be a hell of a matchup, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, man. It's tough because you look at the Celtics and what they've overcome. They've they're just playing so well in spite of not having their
Yeah,
best
missing so
player.
many star players. Yeah.
And then you look at Cleveland, and LeBron is pretty much just carrying the whole team on his back. I mean, I wasn't
They're
so
kind of
sure
polar
that.
opposites. Like I said,
Yeah.
I
Um,
mean you've got Cleveland playing in a game that's predicated around one player and just having him do as much as possible, and then you got Boston that's just playing like solid team ball. Like no, there's really no stars on the Boston team. Like Horford's good, Tatum's good, Brown is good, but there's not anybody on there that you would say is a superstar. So
yeah. Um, this is tough, man. I really think it could go either way, but
hmm
I find it really hard to bet against LeBron. I just don't see how you can do it. He just
yeah.
continually pulls it off. So I'm gonna go Cavs in seven.
That's the same pick I'm making. I want to pick Boston because I want Boston to win it. Obviously, they're my team in the NBA. I really like the game they're playing, but I've been burnt too much already this postseason picking against LeBron. I'm gonna learn, gotta learn at some point. So I'm gonna go with LeBron and the Cavs, taking it in 7.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
So
a safe
according to our
pick.
picks, we're gonna get Golden State v Cleveland version 4.
Yeah, and then the Warriors are like probably sweep them, but we'll worry about that later.
Yeah. But all right, well that's the NBA playoffs. That's what happened. That's what's gonna well, our picks for what's gonna happen. So
Indeed. Uh, let's go to the rink,
hmm
begrudgingly so.
let's hit the ice. We'll start off over in the West, and we'll cover what happened over there. Um, we'll start with the Knights versus the Sharks. This one actually, let's see what we. Let me pull up our picks here because I know I wrote down these picks. But the end result was Vegas took it in 6 games. Vegas won 4-2. Um, I know it went 6, but it really didn't feel like Vegas was ever in danger, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
But but um, I know you picked Vegas in 7 in that series. I actually picked them in 6, so we both got the team right. I got the games right. You were just one off close to it. So
Yeah, not really surprised. I mean, the Sharks were. they're a pretty good team, but
Hmm.
the Pacific was a weird one this year because like you had the Knights just kind of run away with it, and
Yeah.
then you had a lot of teams that were all just kind of there.
Yeah, LA,
Um,
Anaheim, San Jose, Calgary were all pretty much kind of right next to each other
right.
pretty much the whole year. So,
Yeah.
and I don't think any one of those teams really stood out as anything that you saw from them would indicate they were cup contenders.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, but but yeah, for San Jose, it's another year, another disappointment. I mean, they've got the talent there. I mean, Pavelski, Couture, Thornton still, Burns, Vlasic, Jones is a good goalie. Um, I don't know what it is. I don't know why they can't just put it together. Even their depth isn't bad. I mean, they got Chris Tierney as their 3C. He's a pretty decent 3C. They got some decent depth guys like Timo Meyer. I don't know, man. I don't know why they struggle to put it together in the postseason, but they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would like to think that they had their shot back in 2016,
Hmm.
and unfortunately met a Penguins team that was just destroying everybody. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, 2017, like I said, the Pens. We've talked about this before. The Pens kind of got a lucky run onto that one, but 2016 was a dominant run. They were pretty much dominant in every series in that one, except for maybe the Tampa series.
yeah, um,
But
pretty much, man. They were,
yeah.
yeah, they were just unreal that year. But
Hmm. Now the other West matchup, we had the Predators and the Jets. We both predicted this would probably be the series of the round, in terms of the most entertaining and best one to watch, and we were right about that one. We were just wrong about who we picked to come out of it. Winnipeg took that into 7 games.
yeah, we picked the present seven, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
both did. So I mean, we at least we knew it was gonna be a close series. I thought Nashville, with home ice advantage, would pull this one out, but Winnipeg's depth was just too much for him, man. Now I watched Game 7, and it was an ugly affair. It was playoff Pekka showed up in prime form, and it wasn't just Game 7. He had a 4.97 goals against average at home in that series.
Well, he got pulled in three of the games that series, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All home.
Wow. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're Nashville, I mean, this is this is two straight years where you could largely make the case that you lost largely due
To
to
his play.
yes. I mean, don't you think you gotta at least consider changing your goalie?
Here's the problem. Renee's contract. I don't
Oh
think you can
God,
pay Renee that much to play a backup, and you're not going to move that contract either. So it might
that's
be
a
kind
good
of like
point.
a Carey Price in Montreal, Lundqvist in New York kind of thing, where he might not be the best guy on the roster, but they don't really have a choice but to play him, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see one year where that happens, and you go, okay, well, he just had a bad year. But I mean, this is 2 years in a row to where he just folded
yeah,
badly under the pressure.
yeah. This
So
one was at home too. I mean, at least when he played the Pens last year, he was garbage in Pittsburgh, but he played decent at home at least.
yeah,
Um, man, 497 goals against average at home. Pulled 3 out of 4 games at home.
that is
That's rough.
not
That
good.
is rough.
Uh, did you actually know that when he got pulled, that was the quickest a goalie has ever been pulled in a game seven
I did not actually.
in the history of the
It
league?
was they didn't really. He didn't have a leash, to be honest with you.
No, he
Now,
really didn't.
both of those goals were ugly. They were ugly, man. Tyler Myers scores. First off, Tyler Myers should be scoring on you to begin with.
Yeah,
Really, in any situation ever. Secondly, he scored it from behind the goal line. He shot like a Sid-like shot, dude,
you're
in terms
right,
of the
right.
angle that he shot, and it hit a gap that Rene wasn't covering and went in. Um,
Ugh.
you can kind of make the argument that literally like that puck went to the one spot that was open, and just luck of the draw of that. But at the same time, when the shots come from that angle, nothing should be open.
Well, dude,
All
the
you gotta
same
do is
thing.
hug that post.
Dude, he did the same thing last year against Jake Gensel.
Oh, dude, Gensel was doing that to every goalie in the playoffs last year, though.
True, but I mean, it
you
was almost
you remember
the
when he did the
exact
bomb
same.
in the first
Yeah.
round?
Well, right, but yeah.
Those goals from the
Um.
red line, like
Yeah. True. Well,
nasty. But
Bobrovsky, I don't think he's quite
I
in
think
that
he and Rene
same.
are in the same boat. They're guys that play ridiculous in the regular season, but they've just proven they can't handle the
Yeah,
pressure in the
well,
playoffs, man.
Bobrovsky, he's so much younger. I think you might want to give him
Mm-hmm.
a little more of a chance, a little more leeway. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can.
And he's never had a team as deep as Nashville in front of him, too.
True. Um,
Especially on defense. I mean, look at Nashville's defense.
yeah, I mean
And you can't blame
it
that on defensive play. You just can't.
yeah, like on paper they're probably the best defense in the league. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah, I that's just a tough one, man. Because like you said, you know, he's on a big contract. You can't move him. You kind of have to play him. Um, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do because there's
And
again,
on
there's
top of
just
that, do you really trust Saros at this point? I mean,
well, I think Saros has potential. I
mm-hmm.
think if you consistently played him, I think he could probably become a starting goalie. Um, but we probably won't find out soon because
Mm-hmm.
they're really just gonna have to keep playing Rene.
Well, the good news about Rene is he's got 1 year left on this contract, and it's a $7 billion a year contract. So,
Oh, then he'll be
um,
UF. Oh, well, then
yeah,
he's gone. They would
mm-hmm.
be
I can,
out of their minds to bring him back.
yeah, I can see that. Now, the bigger problem they're gonna have right now is the fact that Saros is up now after this year. So you got to think he's gonna get a little bit of a raise. And
A little bit, but I don't see why they wouldn't be able to afford it. I mean, like unless they're that
yeah,
cap strapped. I mean, I know. I was looking at their contracts the other day. I know. I think that their only UFAs are Fisher, Hartnell, and Alexei Emelin.
Emmeline, yeah,
And, they'll
you got to
probably just
figure
let all
probably all
those
three
guys
of those are gonna
walk.
be gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I could
you
see them
don't.
bringing Fisher back just because of the veteran status with the team, but he's not gonna get a big contract.
Dude, didn't he get scratched for Game 7?
I didn't pay enough attention to the forwards on the ice to tell you who was
I'm
out and who wasn't.
I'm fairly certain he did not play in Game 7. He was scratched. They said it was because of an injury, but I honestly think it might have been just because he sucks and they didn't want to play. I don't
Well, I mean,
know.
yeah, he's not gonna get a. He's a natural center. He's not gonna get a spot over, Ryan Johansson, Nick Menino, and Kyle Torres. So, do you play him or do you play Sissons on the fourth line?
You
Is
play
what it comes down to.
Sissons.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree, but
Yeah.
there's something to be said about the veteran guys that do all that, been with the team for forever. But I don't know. The fact that he didn't really even play with the team until halfway through this year tells me he's probably just going to retire now that his contract's out.
Yeah. I would think so. I mean,
And
again,
then
they're gonna
Hartnell will just move on.
Scott Hartnell. He makes me laugh. Um, oh my God! Speaking of Scott Hartnell, as we sit here and record this, I am looking at the NHL 18 um, menu screen, and there is a Hockey Ultimate Team flashback card of Scott Hartnell, rated at a 95 overall.
I don't think Scott Hartnell was ever a 95 overall in the entire time of his playing career.
No, he
Even
wasn't.
like in juniors. Like, come
No,
on, let's be real.
not even close. Anyway, moving on. um,
The
no, I
only
mean,
the only guy they have to re-sign that's gonna be probably a little bit pricey is gonna be Ryan Hartman, and he's an RFA. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be able to stay pretty much intact. I mean, I think they're going to be able to have like another good run at it next year. But again, even still, if your goalie is Rene, I don't know. It's not worked out the past 2 seasons, so I don't have any reason to believe why it will. Um,
Yeah, I can hear
but
you with that.
then again, look at Braden Holtby. I mean, he had two pretty bad playoffs in 16 and 17, and right now he is like freaking
They were they
Patrick
were
Waugh.
pretty bad, but I don't think you can put the entirety of the playoffs on Holby when he lost. I mean, you can pretty much put if Renee's playing decent goaltending, Nashville probably wins that cup final against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good
Um,
point. Yeah, I mean,
Same thing with
it's
the
not.
series against Winnipeg. So
Yeah, they aren't the exact same situations, but I guess they're a little bit similar.
yeah,
Um, but dude, how about Winnipeg, man? I mean, because they
man,
were one of the worst teams in
they
the
are
league
a
last year.
scary freaking team right now.
Yeah, they're.
And
I
I've
mean,
been
they were one of the worst teams in the league last year, weren't they?
yeah, they were a bottom 10 league team. Um, they weren't like a high lottery team, but they weren't great either. But Connor Hellebuck's finally coming into the form that he can play, and
Yeah,
that offense is just lethal, absolutely lethal.
yeah, they're a deep team, man.
Ah, they're scary.
Yeah.
And like I said, we were talking about their contract situation last night. They're scary, and they're going to be scary for a long time.
Yes. They're looking good. I think they're gonna have a pretty good chance to win it this year, especially if the Caps do somehow knock out Tampa for them.
Mm-hmm.
But even if not, yeah, they're gonna be a contender for a good while.
I
So
mean, they've got Shifley locked up 6.1 mil, 7 years. Shifley's a top five 1C in the league, dude. Without a
yo,
doubt, in my opinion.
dude, that guy's
Top
nasty.
five.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is the only guys that you can maybe make an argument are better than him is Sid, Connor, Stamkos, and I'd be hard pressed to pick another one. Maybe Kopitar, maybe.
No, no way.
Um, it depends on what you're like. I think Kopitar is a better all-around center than Shifley is, but Shifley's gonna
Yeah,
score better.
right.
Maybe John T.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I could
Maybe
see
John
that
T.
maybe.
But
Um,
man, if he's not top five, he's definitely top 10, and that is a low price to pay for a top 10 center in the league.
especially with the cap increasing 5 mil this off season,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a bargain of a
Yep.
yeah. So, um, but yeah. So, what do you think about Winnipeg Vegas?
Ah, I'm. It's gonna be a good series. Um, I don't think it's gonna be as good of a series as Winnipeg and Nashville was. To be honest with you, we'll
No.
get into that when we start doing our picks for the next round. But I'm gonna be hard pressed to pick against Winnipeg right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm with you. At the same time, it feels hard to pick against Vegas because everybody keeps picking against Vegas and they just keep winning. Um,
I hear it,
but
but I mean, there's only gonna be so much that no all star just deep team is gonna take you. You know what I mean?
well, the thing is, LA and San Jose are nowhere near as good as Winnipeg. Like, not
Yeah,
even close.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I think the Knights will. I think they'll. You know, I think they'll give them hell, but I don't see it. Um,
yeah.
I would. I'd probably go with Winnipeg in six.
That's what I'm picking too.
Yeah.
Is Winnipeg in six in this one. For context, the first game of this series just ended, and Winnipeg won that one 4-2. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Vegas has been able to overwhelm teams with just their absolute depth. In that they don't really have any top line kind of guys. Maybe William Carlson. That's about it. Um, but they roll a lot of top borderline top six, top nine guys. all the way through the lineup.
Hmm.
The problem with that in terms of Winnipeg is that I think Winnipeg is one of the few teams in the league that can match that depth, but does have those top guys in the Shifleys and the Wheelers and the Line A's. You
Exactly.
know, um,
Yes. They have the depth
so
and the stars, so
exactly,
that's the
exactly.
problem for Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. So I just don't see Vegas matching that type of scoring that
No.
Winnipeg is getting right now.
Yeah, for
Unless
sure.
Fleury plays lights out in this entire series, and he has been playing lights out all playoffs, but he
Yeah,
got lit up for 4 tonight. So I mean, that's
he'll have to steal it, and it's going to be really hard. So,
yeah.
um, yeah. So let's break down what took place in the East. Unfortunately,
We didn't do very good in our picks in this round.
no, we did not.
1 for 3, man. Um,
Jesus.
let's start with Lightning and the Bruins. You and I both picked the Bruins to take that series in 7 games. The Lightning, they shut up to play, man. They lost that first game 7-4, and then just swept them after that. 4 straight, really wasn't even close at any point in that series.
Yeah. I still can't believe that. I thought for sure that would go at least 6 games, probably seven, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, like it was almost like the Lightning were still kind of like on their break. They
Uh
lost.
huh.
They lost that first one, and then they were like, all right, let's stop messing around and beat them 4 straight times. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a good team. That
To beat four
force,
times in a row,
yeah,
yeah.
that's dude, that's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
We can't not talk about Boston or Marchand's antics in this series.
oh god,
We got to cover it. I don't know if that helped him or hurt him. To be honest with you, I mean, it clearly didn't help him for him to
yeah,
see the game after he started that crap.
I don't, I just don't understand. Um, I understand players like Marchand, and
Yeah, I understand pests. I
I
understand the
mean,
concept of it, but
you know, Pittsburgh's closest thing to that would probably be like a Hornquist.
yeah,
Um, I think you
I mean,
need guys
he
like
gets under
that.
team skins. Like,
Yeah, no, I think you need at least one player like that. But there's a line, and he just continues. He just continues to cross it, and but
bizarrely. Like,
yeah, it's just very. I just don't understand it. But he even said like, yeah, I need to like change some things about my game, and like, you think, Brad? Um,
I mean, if you can think that, why can't you do that on the ice? I mean, it seems like not licking someone would be a pretty easy task to follow. But
well, we'll see next year. Although I have a funny
yeah,
feeling, I think there are certain players that when they step on the ice, they get into that competitive mode. They just can't help themselves, a la Tom Wilson. Um,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So,
Well, one thing I will say about that whole situation is I couldn't stand the NHL's coverage of it. Because on one side, you had the league office telling him, "Hey, stop doing this. You can't be doing this shit. Don't 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 act like an idiot." But at the same time, every single time he did it, NBC was running at it or running thing after thing on it. It was all they talked about on ESPN, on NHL Network. NBC would tweet about it nonstop. So I'm kind of like, if you don't point it out that much and stop giving it coverage, he'll stop doing it. Like,
well,
so
it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because I think that, I think there was a bit of a parallel there in the same thing, that happened in the series with the Penguins and Capitals.
I think in public the NHL is telling them, "Hey, don't do this stuff. We know we can't have this in the game. This doesn't belong." But in private, they're like, "Hey, this is really helping our ratings. Go ahead and keep."
yeah, yeah. What I'm getting at is both of those series were overshadowed by just dumb shit,
Yep.
like that, and then Wilson's hit, and should he be suspended? Should he
Yeah.
not be
So,
suspended? Was it? Yeah. So, um, it's like you have four of the best teams playing. I mean, particularly with the Lightning and Bruins, they were probably the two best teams, you know, in the East
in the
all
league.
season.
Yeah.
And then then obviously with the Caps and Pens, you have Crosby, you have Ovi, and yet we're talking about Tom Wilson the whole time. You know, and
Hmm.
so it's like it just yeah. Um, it's all just annoying, and I feel like it overshadows the real things we should be paying attention to in these series.
I hear
But
you. I hear you.
but yeah, whatever. I'm not surprised.
Hmm. But anyway, that's what that series was. The Lightning took it handily. They are in the Eastern Conference Final now. Let's talk about the one that we don't want to talk about. Washington and Pittsburgh. Washington finally overcomes their Pittsburgh Demons, their second round Demons. They beat Pittsburgh in 6 games in the second round to move on to the Eastern Conference Final. The Pens' run of 9 straight playoff series wins ends at 9. They don't get that 10th.
Yeah. Um, I'm not super shocked.
No,
I think we each picked the Pens to lose in the conference final.
we did. We did.
So
You had the Pens winning in 7 in this one. I had them winning in 6, but I wasn't really comfortable with that. I just picked 6 in that because I had every other series except for Vegas going to 7. So,
yeah. Well, what I said was I think if the Caps win, it had to be in 6, and sure enough, they did because I truly
mm-hmm,
believe that if the Pens did somehow drag that out to a Game 7 in Washington, my money would have
mm-hmm,
been on the Penguins all day.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it sucks that it came against the Caps, but it's not that surprising. They were gonna lose sooner or later. There was no way they were three-peating. There are way too many good teams left. There are just
yeah.
way too many good teams. So, um,
And on top of that, I mean, their depth scoring was completely dried up. They were relying solely on Sid's line to put anything on the board because no
yeah,
one else was doing anything. Murray was okay, but he wasn't great.
he was
Um,
pretty good overall. The problem is he just wasn't as good as Holtby. And
yeah,
there are for sure
yeah.
a few goals throughout that series that he would like back.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, for sure. Um, the reason I struggle with Murray on this one because he had those goals where you're like, oh man, you can't let that in. But at the same time, he had stretches of play where Washington would have dangerous chance after dangerous chance after dangerous chance, and he'd shut them down.
oh no,
So
there were games that would have been 5-0 if it weren't for Murray.
yeah,
So
so
so yeah. Um,
I don't know. I think it just perfect storm of Pittsburgh and they had too many injuries to overcome. I mean, there's no way Kessel was 100%. I know Sullivan's downplaying that injury, but there's no way he was 100%. No way.
yeah, I mean
Um,
Phil was banged up.
Malkin,
Malkin, I believe,
Brassard,
and again, this is gonna sound like us just making excuses, but it's not because here's the thing: you have to tip your hat.
oh, Caps had just as many people banged up. I mean,
Well,
Backstrom didn't
Wilson,
play in Game 6.
yeah,
Wilson was out. Burakovsky didn't play any in that
yeah.
series.
I mean, what I had said prior to when they played in Game 6, I was like, okay, the cat again. I know the Pens are banged up. They're probably exhausted. Blah 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 blah. But the Capitals don't have Wilson. They don't have Nick Backstrom, and they don't have
Bura.
Burakovsky. I was like, if they can't win this to force a Game 7, they don't
They
deserve
don't
it.
deserve it. Yeah, exactly. And they don't. I'll give them that. I mean, I'm going to tip my hat to Washington. They deserve to win this series, especially games 5 and 6. Trotz, I don't like him that much as a coach, but he outcoached Sully in this one. He just did. Trotz changed their defensive system. They were stacking the middle of the ice. Stacking the middle of the ice in the defensive zone.
Yeah,
Pens could not get anything going through the middle of the ice, and their entire offense is predicated off that. The Pens are not going to score from outside shots. The Pens aren't going to score from the point that often. They'll get tips from the point, but there is no space to shoot through the middle where the tips happen.
yeah,
Um, and they just couldn't change up their game plan. I mean, it's hard to do, especially when you're that tired and guys just aren't performing at their highest level. I mean, it's hard to pick on them. because he played so well during the regular season and he played so well the last 2 years. But man, Kessel was rough to watch these playoffs,
Yeah, I mean Phil really just didn't do anything.
especially on the power play. I mean, that power play relies so much on him as the guy at the top right point, and he I would say half the time he touched the puck up there, he would flub it somehow and turn it over.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't
It's
good. It was
it
not
was
good
rough
at
to
all.
watch,
Um,
but I'm not gonna pick on him because, like I said, everyone played pretty bad in that series for the Pens. So,
yeah,
but hey, hats off to Washington, dude. You know, they outplayed us. There's really no other way around it. We just got
yeah.
outplayed.
Well,
So
and it's one of those things like it's gonna. I mean, especially if you keep playing the same team every year,
yeah,
it's gonna happen sooner or later.
yeah,
I mean, like
yeah,
even the Caps are gonna pull through eventually,
yeah,
and so
yeah, yeah. And I mean, like I said, the Pens have won 9 straight playoff series. That's not going to continue.
no,
Luck of the draw. Just they're going to lose one eventually.
yeah,
So that's why it's so
um,
hard to repeat. That's why it's so hard to you know win all these in a row in hockey is because you could play the best series of your life, and if the puck luck just isn't going your way, you could still lose. Now the Pens didn't play anywhere near the best series of life here, but I would also argue that it had some instances where the puck luck didn't go their way either.
oh yeah, it just would not go in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at any rate,
But that
that
sets
sets
us up
up
with Tampa versus Washington in the
yes,
Eastern Conference Final.
and pretty shockingly, the Caps um, pretty handily won game one last night.
4-2
As of
as
this
well.
recording, yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're up 4-0 at one point. So man, I got to tell you, I'm not going to base my pick off of that now because that would be unfair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to treat this as if the series hasn't started yet, I absolutely would say Tampa in 6 games. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to stick to that.
Yep.
But I can tell you right now, if the Caps can keep playing this, where they're just collapsing everybody around the net. Um,
Uh-huh.
I mean, dude, I mean, I was watching the game last night, and I think if at like the halfway point of the third period, Tampa only had like 12 shots.
Yeah. If
That's
somebody beats the
it.
Caps this year, they're gonna have to figure out a way to get around that system that they're running there. Um,
Yeah, well, we were talking about that a bit. I think you're gonna have to start taking point shots.
Point shots
Um,
and redirects is how you beat that.
yeah, because they are. I mean,
Now, if there's a team that can score from the point, it's probably going to be the Lightning. I mean, they've got Hedman back there. They've got Strawman back there. He's not a slouch when it comes to his shot. Sergachev,
yeah,
McDonough. I mean, they got some guys from back in the back that can rip it. So,
yeah, for sure. But I'm telling you, if they can keep up this stout defensive play, and same thing with Holtby, um, I'm not going to be overly surprised if Capitals win this series.
gotcha. My pick is also going to be Tampa in 6. I know the Caps won Game 1. My counter argument to that would be that the Bruins won Game 1 and they got swept after that.
Yeah,
Um, So, and Tampa did have a lot longer of a period of rest than the Capitals did in this one.
yeah,
I think they were off like 4 days before this one played or something like that.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Yeah, we'll see.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, what Washington is doing right now almost reminds me of Montreal in 2010 when they had
Mm-hmm.
when they had
Or the Devils
Halak.
of old.
Yeah, well,
Not so much as the 1-3-1 neutral zone trap, but more of like the trap in the back end.
yeah, they're just you know they're just hanging back. You know, they got everybody in front of the net, and then but see the thing is that, they have the skill. When you make a mistake, they will probably score.
Gotcha. Yep,
So
I
yeah,
hear you. But
but we'll see.
all right, sounds good.
All right, yeah. I guess the I keep forgetting there are only 4 teams left. Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess that will wrap it up.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, man, thanks for all the info as usual.
Mhm.
Like, share, and subscribe, and comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that fun stuff. Also, keep an eye out for our podcast about video games, the Console Space podcast. We have a couple episodes in the bank right now about God of War, which came out a couple
Woot.
weeks ago. We're gonna film tomorrow about Detroit Become Human, which comes out in a couple of weeks, and then after that, it'll be E3 time,
Mhm.
which is the most exciting time of year in video games. So we're not too far out from E3, um, and yeah, we'll probably take another week off, right, until all these,
Probably. Probably.
until all these settle down. Um,
We'll see how they're going. If they're a couple series of 3-0, we might talk about it. But
yeah.
yeah, it'll probably be same place that we've been doing it this with the last ones. So.
All right. Well, I will talk to you later, or I will talk to you at another time.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, man. Later.
Later.